Okay, so we are going to do this example 4 here that requires a graphing calculator. And this video is going to show you how to find this value using the TI model calculators. So it says for time greater than 0, less than 3, so the closed interval from 0 to 3, the number of cars in a parking lot at time t hours can be modeled by the function c of t, and that's all of this mess right here. Based on this model, at what time t does the number of cars in the parking lot change from increasing to decreasing? So if my graph is increasing then decreasing, we're looking for a relative maximum on this particular interval, okay? So here's what we need to do. I'm gonna put this paper here so that we can see the whole thing. So here are the two different options you might have with a TI calculator. So with these newer versions here, where you have the backlit screen and they'll graph in color, the typing on it looks a little bit prettier than this one here that's the older model, where the screen is a little bit darker. Let me see if I can get some better light here. Can we see better? That was worse. Let's try again. That's a little bit better. We shall see. So on the calculator, in either case, what we want to do is we want to put this function in to be able to graph. To do that, we go to y equals. It's the same on either calculator. All of these buttons under the window here, those are your graphing features. So we're going to go to y equals on both of them and type all of that in. So I'm going to type negative. Now, on the graphing calculators, this is important. There's two different things. You have a negative button, which means a negative sign, and then you have a minus, which means subtraction. We know that those two things do the same thing, but the algorithm of the calculator reads them differently. So we're going to go ahead and type that information into each calculator. So negative 1.37, and same thing over here, negative 1.37. The variable button, and this is very important, you have all these letters in green. Those you can get to from your alpha keys. Those are not variables. You would only use that to like write code or program or something. If you want a variable, you need to use the variable button, which is right here. So I'm gonna hit X, and the exponent button is this little caret. So here's how it's different. This one caret, it puts the little box up at the top, and I'm gonna put into the fifth. Then make sure you use your arrow to the right to come back down to normal size. On these older models of calculators, it's not gonna look, oops, I need a variable in there, X to the fifth. It's not gonna look as pretty. It doesn't do that pretty math type, but it means the same thing. So we're gonna go ahead and type that into both. So you can be doing that on your calculator at the same time. 4.218 variable. I know these variables are t's. It doesn't matter what variable you use. Our calculator is going to do everything in x's, so that's what we want to use. So that's what we are going to put. I am missing a plus in there. There we go. 4.218x to the fourth, arrow to the right, plus 4.218x to the fourth. So you can see this one's just getting really long with all the stuff I have to type in. That's why these are not as great, but they still do all the same thing. Minus 0.357 x to the second plus 3. Minus 0.357 x squared. The squared does look nice, plus 3. Okay, so I've got it typed into both calculators. Here's what's important. We are only interested in looking on this interval from 0 to 3, and these are our t values, which are our x values in here. So the first thing we want to do is we want to go to window, because we want to tell our graph to only look from 0 to 3. So when I go to window, the very first thing, x minimum, x maximum, that's what we're going to change. So we want to change it from a x minimum of 0 to a x maximum of 3. Same thing over here, x min 0, x max 3. Now the y's don't really matter. Mine's set negative 10 to 10. That's fine. We might have to zoom out or zoom in. We don't know. But so once I've set my window, then I'm going to go here to graph, and we'll see it draw our graph for us. And it's only drawing from 0 to 3. We don't know what happens on the rest of the graph, and we don't care because it's only this that we care about. Now this graph looks weird. It goes up and then there's a whole lot of nothing, but you can kind of see over here on the corner that it comes back down. That means it's really tall. So what we might want to do is go back to window and change our Y maximum to say like 30. I'll do the same thing here. Y maximum to 30. Then go back to our graph. Oops, I changed my negative on this one. Let's go back here. I said 3 instead of 30. Okay. So we can see now, even though we can't quite see the top, we can see how it goes up and comes down. Our maximum value, where it changes from increasing to decreasing, is going to be somewhere up here. Same thing, somewhere up there. We don't actually need to see it. We're going to have the calculator find it for us. So here's how we do this on the calculator. We want to find that maximum there. So everything you need is in calc. You're never going to use trace. We're always going to use second trace. Trace is never going to be accurate enough for what we need. So we want to go to the calc menu, and since it's above trace, I'm going to say second trace, and I get this menu. Now we are trying to find the maximum, which is number 4 on both calculators. You can arrow down and push enter, or you can just push the number 4. And in each case, it's going to ask you 3 questions. What's your left bound? Meaning give me a place to start on the left. What's a right bound? Tell me how far to look to the right. And then, are you ready for me to guess? You can use the arrows to move. You see the little cursor on the screen. I can move it to say, okay, that's somewhere on the left of the maximum, and then I'll hit enter. Or if I look, and this is the same for both calculators, if I look, remember this is 0, so 1, 2. I know it's between 2 and 3, so I could just type 2, enter for my left bound, and it went ahead and marked where I'm starting there. Same thing on this side. So again, you can use your arrow. Now we need to get to the right side of the maximum. You can use your arrow to slide all the way over. Now see how it's come out on the other side, and hit enter. Or I can just say, I know that 3 is on the right, so I hit 3, enter. And now the question is, do you want me to guess? And the answer is yes, so we just hit enter now. And it takes a second to think. And so there we have, the maximum is at x equals 2.446, and the value is 31.897. You can see the same thing over here. So that's how we calculate the maximum. So again, the question was, based on this model, at what time t does the number of cars in the parking lot change from increasing to decreasing? T is our x value, so that happens at 2.446 hours based on this model, okay? If you wanted to find a minimum, you would do the exact same thing, second calc, and you would use minimum. Same questions, left bound, right bound, guess, enter, and it'll give you your x value and your y value. So that's how you can do that on the TI-84 or TI-83 graphing calculators.